Good afternoon, Costa Rica. Coming to you live.
Welcome, everyone. We are back with another exciting podcast. We're coming at you from all over the world. Pavan, do you want to introduce our guest today?
Yes, so Angel is in LA. I'm in Puerto Rico, and Victor Nino, realtor extraordinaire. He makes so much money that he's all over the place.
I'm in
He,
Costa
drove,
Rica.
he just drove his brand new red Ferrari to Costa Rica. It's faster than an airplane.
Man, that would have been an interesting drive.
So he's in Costa Rica today. So here we are, Miracle of Modern Technology, and we are live, and we are going to get some amazing coaching from Victor Nino, who I know well, and a great friend and supporter. And he is just like, what a story, like from where he started and where he is now and where he's headed.
We have some awesome content for you guys today. Make sure you stay to the end because Victor is sharing some awesome tips on how to be successful in real estate, investing, life in general. He's out there living the dream in Costa Rica, so he's going to tell you guys exactly how to do it. We're going to be talking about not just the Austin market, but the housing market in general, what's going on in mortgage, interest rates.
And also, he's going to go into depth about the Austin real estate market, where we are at and where it's headed, and his outlook of that, and also this great big huge, I think it was a 1.5 or 1.8 billion dollar verdict against the National Association of Realtors, and how that's going to affect you if you're a consumer watching this, if you're looking to buy a house, how that affects you, how this big class action affects you, how this big class action will affect loan officers and realtors in, for basically forever from this point forward, because it changes everything. So Victor is going to be firsthand knowledge, real estate broker extraordinaire, talking about all of this stuff. And at the end, and stay to the end of the broadcast, because we will be talking about how Victor is making money using the Metro program that AngelAi offers, where he can earn commissions for actual work that he does on every buyer deal that he puts through AngelAi. He earns the loan officer commission on those. Typically, all obviously compliance has been blessed by multiple regulatory agencies. And the best part about it is you do not need to get additional licensing. That means Victor did not have to take an NMLS test. He did have to get fingerprinted. He did have to do a bunch of corporate CE courses, but no testing. And it was, so how bad was the CE courses, Victor?
Oh, it was easy.
It was easy. Yeah.
Super easy, which I like easy.
Yeah, it was super easy. It does take some time, but it's super easy. How much time roughly it took you if you were to do it in one sitting?
Man, maybe like 12 hours, maybe 15. I think maybe even less. I really don't remember.
Okay. All right. So about, I usually explain it like a weekend's worth of work. If you start on Saturday morning or Friday evening, you'll be done by Sunday night. Just invest a weekend, and that's a pretty good trade. You invest a weekend and you're making thousands of dollars more per transaction.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. So that's definitely a good thing. So it's like, what I would say is this, a lot of people are worried right now about what's happening with NAR. Instead of just surviving, what should you do so that you can thrive? And that is very important. What mindset should you have, and what things should you think about to make sure that you're going to go ahead and make the best out of it? Because at the end of the day, like I said before, people are going to buy or sell. We just need to find them.
Yes.
That's it.
And if it will make it my personal belief is that the NAR lawsuit will make it harder to get buyer commission. Not that it's impossible, but it's just one more obstacle, one more friction to the sale process. Okay. Now so you may not make as much buyer commission as you did in the past, but you could supplement that income.
Yeah.
And probably blow past it, probably make more money than you were doing with just buyer commission by also being a Metro agent. So this program is here it's basically a gift that's fallen in your lap, and it only works. And here's the magic part about the Metro program, which we'll walk you through at the end. It only works because of the AI, because the AI gives you warranted answers, meaning if the answer is wrong from the AI, I put my money behind it, and you don't have to worry. Transaction is going to go through anyways.
Oh yeah, and not only that, but it gives you more control, Pavan, because think about this. A lot of times we're in the dark as real estate agents. We don't know what's going on with the loan. And I know that the team here, they're not going to, just tell me what I want to hear. They're going to tell me exactly what's going down. So it at least shed some light. So that way you're not surprised, thinking you're going to close in 3 days. And then all of a sudden something comes up where it's like, oh, we can't close it. So that's the beautiful thing about it, having more control. And not only that, but people are going to be happier. And if people are happier, then guess what? They're going to call you back or recommend you to the people they care about the most.
Exactly. And because AI is a computer, it does not lie, it cannot lie. And if you ask it a question, if you say, what is the status, it's going to tell you exactly the status. You don't have to worry about it being colored or the AI doesn't need to protect his commission.
Exactly. That is very true.
For agents, for real estate agents, it's like you get an answer, and you get an answer with a great big warranty behind it, where a big national company with lots of money standing behind it. So you can't get that from, even as a real estate agent, you talk to an underwriter at a lender's office.
Yeah.
The underwriter at the lender's office will tell you this is not final. And this is, they'll always qualify it with based on the information I have, and based on what you're telling me, on what I see, and subject to quality control, subject to second review, this and that. They'll put all these kinds of qualifiers around it so that that you cannot trust what they're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. They'll never tell you that. You will never hear an underwriter from any lender's office say that, hey, if I tell you whatever I say here is final and my words are set in stone. They will never say that. But AngelAi, that is the case. The words are final, they're set in stone. And if AngelAi got it wrong, I write the check.
Awesome.
And the good news is, number one, I have plenty of money to write those checks with. And number two, I've almost never written a check because it's never wrong. So, and I say almost never because it did make a few mistakes when it was a baby AI.
Exactly. Well, the beautiful thing is you stood behind what you said. So that's speaks volumes.
That's right. I mean, hey, if your integrity, my integrity, everyone's integrity is worth, there's no price tag to it.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot put a price tag to your integrity. And I explain this to my loan officers all the time. Something my dad taught me. He's like, look, you know what? He told me so many times, I could have done more deals if I was a little loose.
Mm-hmm.
With the facts, if I was a little, flexible, if I was a little bit more morally flexible, I could have made more money.
It's not worth it, right?
It's not worth it. He would go, and when he would show, as a realtor, when he would show a listing, right? Let's say he was a listing agent, he would tell everything about the house.
Yeah.
Right? And as a buyer's agent, same thing. He would tell everything and what his opinion was, and whether if he saw a buyer and a house and it didn't believe that it was the right fit, right? And he would say so. And this is why I don't think it's the right fit. But if you still want to do it, let's do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he got so much loyalty out of that. He got so much referrals and so much loyalty. He's like, what? It's like, what more do I need? Right? Do I really need to make that extra, closing that this month and get that extra commission? Right? It's like, it's not going to change me. It's not going to change my lifestyle. And all I've done is I've gutted my soul. And for that little bit of money, my soul's not worth it. That was his philosophy.
True.
Right?
True. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So no, you can't put a price tag on your soul. So let it go.
You heard it here.
And make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, chat with us in the live chat. If you're watching live here, the more engagement we see, the more excited Victor's going to be to share more information, more tips with you guys.
All right. So more you like, the more secrets Victor will let go.
Reveal.
Yes, we'll reveal.
That's awesome.
So I think there's a lot to learn from every realtor and loan officer that's listening on how to build success, and how to have a mindset for success, and what he's doing currently with AngelAi, and how he's making additional money. How he's by closing more deals in effect, and he's leveraging our Metro program to make more money per closing. So we're going to talk about all of that stuff. Let's go, Victor. Tell me about starting from when you were born.
All right. So I was born and raised along the Mexican border in Eagle Pass, Texas. So my first little business, I had a snow cone stand when I was like 6 or 7 years old. And I did all kinds of stuff growing up. My parents had a taco truck, and we would go sell where people would pick crops. So, ever since I was a kid, I would work. And we did, my mom used to sell used clothes in Mexico, and I would help her do that. I've done, flower delivery. I've done lawn mowing, odd jobs, handyman work, you name it, like all kinds of stuff. I used to sell tortillas door to door. And that was interesting, being along the Mexican border. A lot of people would just make their own tortillas, and here I was trying to sell tortillas door to door. But, fast forward, to 17, I actually left home. I, grew up playing sports as well in the summers. And at 17, right after graduation, I ended up moving to Austin. So I moved to Austin, and my new life started there. I actually couldn't get my own apartment for a couple of months because I was 17. So once I turned 18, I was able to get a small apartment. It was pretty interesting because I remember thinking, man, I've made it. And I was living in a small 1-bedroom apartment in probably the worst part of Austin. But I felt like I had made it because I had AC in my apartment. Growing up, we never had AC. So I was like, man, this is it. I was like the Jeffersons moving on up.
Now you're dating yourself, the Jeffersons. I didn't think there was anybody as old as me that still remember that TV show.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Angel, do you remember the Jeffersons?
I know the reference.
Okay, we're making progress. We're teaching these young AIs a few things.
Yes.
Okay. So when did you first get into real estate?
So I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. So 18, I was working at a call center, started saving some money. And since I was used to really not spending much, since we never really had a whole lot, I started saving some money. I was going to buy a car. My brother convinced me to buy a house. So before my 20th birthday, I bought my first house. A couple years later, like 4 years later, I bought myself a duplex. And then I was picking up rent at my brother's office. So as I'm chatting there with the receptionist, the broker walks in and thinks I'm my brother because he overhears my voice. And once he notices it's not my brother, we have a little chit chat, maybe like, 5-10 minutes. And he's all like, you know what, Victor, have you ever thought about getting your license? And I was like, you know what, my brother's told me a couple times. He says, well, you know what, I've been doing this for over 25 years, and I think you have what it takes to be a great realtor. You should get your license. And then I started taking my classes immediately after that. So at 25, I became a realtor. And that's how I got into business. My brother, by then, had already been a realtor for a decade. So he has 10 years more experience than I do.
But you became more successful.
That's debatable. We'll see. We'll see where the chips fall.
Your brother's a great guy. He's incredible.
Yeah.
So he's your older brother, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, he's older by 10 years, and he loves that. I remember when we moved to Keller Williams, he would always mess with people and be like, hey, have you seen my older brother? So everybody thought I was his older brother, and he would love it.
Yeah, actually, he does look younger. So I don't know what's up with
that. Life is good for him. So I guess those naps really help out. The siestas.
Okay, so when you got into real estate, how hard was it for you to get going and build a book of business?
So I'll tell you, I got my real estate license in the summer of 2004, and I did not have my first closing till December. So basically like 6 months. And frankly, I was pretty lost at first. And it was more trying to find business by default than by design. Yet once I started, with my first one, I ended up closing 4 more deals. Like I remember, in fact, the first closing was January. I had a closing in February, a closing in March and April. And I was like, man, that's it. Like move over, Warren Buffett. Like I'm here. And then I didn't sell a house for like 3 months. So the first year was pretty decent. I sold 12 homes the first year, but I was doing this part-time. So I was working as an insurance agent. And looking back, I'll tell you, like one of the things that I wish would have been different is if I would have just jumped into real estate full time, because I was a part-time insurance agent up until 2012. So think about that. That was a pretty long time, from 2004 all the way to 2012, and pretty much got to the point where I was obviously making a lot more than I was making as an insurance agent. So I decided just to go ahead and leave. And it was just like the best thing that I could have done. I think real estate gives us an opportunity to live an incredible life. I can only, reference from my point of view as a realtor, but it's been pretty incredible. I mean, sometimes I have a chat with my wife and I'm like, man, I can't believe we're able to experience and do the things we're able to do because of, the rewards that real estate has for us. So it's been pretty awesome. And like you were saying when you started, I'm in Costa Rica. The funny thing is this, I don't know if I've mentioned this to you, but in January, my wife and I, we had a little dinner. I think it was the 2nd of January, and we're like planning out our year. And I said, this year I'm not going to travel. And so there goes that. This is my 21st trip this year. And with my wife is the 10th trip, which has been pretty cool. Probably had about 6 or 7 trips with the girls. So for me now it's about, leveraging what I've done before, leveraging technology, and really deciding to live life a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, you've been working since you were 6 years old, so you might as well,
Yeah.
focus a little bit on your kids. Making sure that they. So how do you raise your kids so that they don't lose the values that you gain through that kind of process?
Yeah. So I'll tell you this. Right now, I think being that one is 4 and one is 2 years old. I don't think I've hit that stage, but I have had that conversation with my wife. And I was like, hey, you know what? If I have to go and sell used clothing or whatever, let's go and sell at the swap meet, or let's just do different things to allow them to see how most people work so hard in life. And sometimes, looking back, I remember I was like, my God, it seems like we're never getting ahead, but we're always working hard. So I think that's going to be something that's going to be really important. My wife and I, we just bought a condo in Mexico. So I want to make sure that every summer we go out there. I want them to learn fluent Spanish, know their culture and everything, so that way they don't lose that portion, because I think that's gonna keep them grounded. And then obviously not giving them everything, making sure that they work for everything they have, chores and you name it, but also challenging them to see how they can leverage what they know to maybe earn a little bit more. I really want them to start like little business here and there. I don't know, maybe selling candy to neighbors, or coordinating to wash cars. I don't know, we'll see. But again, that's theory. We'll see if I can apply it, right? You know how that is.
Yeah, well, I'm actually very disappointed in you right now, because you bought a condo in Mexico and not Puerto Rico.
Well, you know what? I was like, man, who has the better tacos? And I was like, Mexico kind of won that one.
But there's no tacos in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, because we want to have a property on the beach, and I was like, you know what? That's kind of like the best of both worlds. It's Latin America to a certain extent, but it's a U.S. as well. So a little bit more stable probably when it comes to investing and so forth. But that'd be pretty fun. That way we could be neighbors.
Exactly. Okay. So what do you see going on in the Austin market? Because that's where you're primarily working. In
Yes.
the Austin market, how do you see that over the next 12 months unfolding? And in general, what's your vision of real estate? You know,
Well,
as a leader in real estate, what's your vision of the market for the rest of the decade?
yeah, so I'll tell you this, like, pretty much what I've seen is that prices did come down. They were from an inflated number. Sometimes people kind of get bent out of shape when you have a conversation with them, letting them know that their house is not 1.5, but now it's 1.1. Some of them feel like they lost $400,000 when in reality, if you look back when they purchased, they're far outpacing the average 4% appreciation. So I always, tend to be very direct. I rather just be honest than tell people what they want to hear and then kind of disappoint them. But as far as what I've seen is that the market has stabilized. Market has been hovering now, average about $540,000 average price in Austin, whereas at the peak of May of 2022 it was at 667. So as you can see, is a pretty substantial drop when it comes from that inflated number. But yet going back 3 years, average home prices were like in the mid 400s for the city of Austin. So it's still good. Based on what I've seen and what I've heard from people that have been in the real estate game for a lot longer than I have, is that home prices are not going to go to zero. It's something catastrophic would need to happen in order for that to go down. I know there's we've all heard stories of like the Detroit and how they plowed down blocks and blocks. A lot of people moved out, but frankly, for the city of Austin, I just don't see that. I think Austin's still the new kid on the block with kind of like the world really discovering what Austin's about. And frankly, I just think it's going to continue to flourish. We have a lot of brand new construction. We have, a lot of tech. We have a lot of jobs that are moving to Austin. And I really think it's going to be pretty strong here for the next, 3, 5, maybe even more than that years. The only interesting thing is going to be how things play out with NAR and this whole thing with the lawsuit. So that's going to be interesting. But I'll tell you, I mean, my wife, she tends to be the one that worries. And I'm like, you know what? It does not matter what happens. People are going to still move. We just need to find them. And we just need to serve them and love on them and make sure that we do a good job. And everything's going to fall where it falls. And we're going to be fine. I was like, you know what? It can't be worse than the way we grew up. So it'll still be good.
Yeah, I actually like the last tip. It can't be worse than how we grew up. I always remind my kids and my wife about the same thing. Because very similar story like you. I grew up doing everything and anything to make a buck.
Exactly.
Right? So,
Yeah.
But there's a lot to unpack here in what you just said, which is really hit on some very important themes. So first of all, you're saying Austin has basically had a 20 to 25% drop in home values. Are you seeing that last 6 months, last quarter, last 18 months?
That was from May of 2022. So, okay. And then it's been pretty stable, hovering about 540 practically all year this year. Okay. So it dropped all the way to 525 and then it bounced back. So I think we've hit bottom. Obviously, as rates continue to increase, that's gonna affect slowly. But frankly, homes are still moving. We don't have. It's rare to see a home on the market for over 6 months, and we all know that 6 months is a balanced market. So once we go past 6 months, then it becomes a buyer's market. So even though it might not seem like that, it has softened, but it's still a seller's market in Austin.
Okay, so you saw the peak in Austin in May 2022, a year ago, a little more than a year ago. So you saw a peak. You saw it hit a dip, bounce back. Yeah, that's as a technical trader, that's a good sign of stability once you test a bottom.
Exactly. Yeah. And frankly, like I actually every single week I get a report done as what's happening in Austin and in the surrounding area. So I'm like paying attention. And one thing is for sure is being a student of the business is definitely important, because that's how we can guide our clients. And instead of going on hunches or what you hear, you're going based on the stats that you're seeing on a week by week basis. And then also following up every month to see, where their numbers, where the numbers are going. Are they going up, going down, or staying pretty steady? And it's been pretty steady here the majority of the year.
Yeah. And the other thing to unpack is the NAR lawsuit.
Yeah.
And obviously you and I know what that's all about, but can you educate the audience as to what is NAR, what is the NAR lawsuit about, and how will this impact the real estate market in general? What do your personal opinion is what will happen?
Yeah, well, the lawsuit is basically saying, hey, agents or companies colluded to charge 6% for all sellers, and the people feel like they were taken advantage of. They have this lawsuit. I don't know how long it's been going for now, but it was a recent ruling. I think it was last week that said, yes, they're guilty. Obviously, they're appealing that. That could take years. I don't know how long it's going to take for that to finally settle. I know Gary Keller. I'm with Keller Williams, and Gary Keller's been fighting tooth and nail and not backing down. But frankly, I mean, the way I see it, Pavan, is this. I used to work in insurance before, and I remember, having conversations with people that said, hey, you know what, I had an accident and I thought I had full coverage and you're not covering. And I remember back then we'd be like, hey, well, Pavan, I sent you a binder, you signed it, you're an adult, you know how to read, and that's what we have an agreement. So if it's not going to cover you, it's not going to cover you. Like, it's just point blank. But now with this, it's like people signed the contract. They knew how much they were going to pay. They knew the outcome they wanted to have. And when they accepted an offer, they knew how much money they were going to pay. So I just frankly think it's baseless. The only winner here is the attorney or the attorneys that are heading this lawsuit, frankly, because they're the ones that are getting the windfall of money. Everybody else is probably getting like $3,000 or $2,500 each. And I think really the ones that are going to be hurt the most are going to be buyers. I think lawsuits in the future is going to be like, hey, you know what? I didn't have anybody guiding me. I feel taken advantage of, and they're going to want to go ahead and sue someone. So I don't think this is moving in the right direction. At the end of the day, the commission is paid to the listing agent, and the listing agent decides whether or not they're going to be sharing that commission to find a buyer sooner than if they kept the whole commission and did it all themselves. So that's pretty much what I see happening with this whole NAR situation. But as far as on the realtor front, I just tell my wife, I'm like, well, we just adjust. I mean, we're not going to cry about it, and not only that, but we're not going to be wasting our time trying to figure out all the details on it. Let's just go find people that need to buy and sell. Period. End of story. It's just the reality. While many are distracted and complaining, some others are going to be out looking and servicing and helping people.
Does it change how you, if you're representing a buyer, does it change the process how you represent a buyer? Does the buyer have to, do you need additional disclosures, additional contracts for buyers to sign?
No, not necessarily, but they are saying, hey, make sure you sign a buyer's rep agreement quicker than you used to before. Make sure it's crystal clear that they understand that representation is not free for them, but that the compensation is either coming from a seller or from them. The reality is this, you being in the mortgage business for so long, that most people typically barely get into a house. So if you burden them with an extra 3%, it's just not going to happen. People are just going to want to do it on their own. And frankly, I just see more buyers that are going to be taken advantage of. And that's frankly what's going to happen, because they're not going to have representation. If this, continues, and after the appeal and everything, they say that it'll be, the responsibility of a buyer to pay for a commission to get guidance. So we'll see how that pans out. But, like I mentioned before, frankly, I don't worry about stuff like that. I just focus on going to help people and having a good attitude, looking for solutions, and the rest is going to fall where it falls.
And of course, you focus on new technology like AI as well. That's making you more money.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, because think about it. It's like I remember some time ago. It's like, hey, you know what? Some people worry, like, oh my God, AI is going to do this, and all these companies that are coming into the real estate business are going to take everything. But the way I see it is that human element is still necessary. But the ones that embrace AI and embrace technology and apply it to their business as a realtor, they're going to be able to far outpace those that decide not to partake and kind of like stay in the olden days, right? Because everything's changing, and frankly, with AI, you can leverage the technology so you can stay top of mind, and so you can do more with less time.
Yep. So tell me, or tell the audience, I already know.
Yeah,
And Angel already knows because she's been working with you for the past year. So tell the
yeah.
audience what you've been doing with AngelAi and the Metro program and how that is making you more money.
Yeah, so I'll tell you this. I remember when I first got a call from Sam. He cold called me and he's like, "Hey, dude, you want to take this meeting?"
Okay,
Like
wait, stop for a
people.
minute. Stop for a minute. So I love how you began that.
Yeah,
Sam cold called you,
yeah,
right? So again, people forget that that's how all business starts. You got
yeah,
to get out there and make the call. There's a cold
yeah,
call or a cold visit or whatever. Make that call. Right.
yeah,
Once again, to all the loan officers and realtors that are listening, if you're not prospecting, if you're not calling, you're not gonna get a lead. You're not gonna get business. Right.
exactly.
And so here's Sam calling, basically cold calling. By the way,
Mhm.
Sam works as a consultant and works for me, and he I said I need a top agent in Austin to be on this program. He said, okay, I'll just start calling.
Yeah, 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 and that's how it happened. But see, the interesting thing is, Pavan, is I'm a firm believer that we all have our opportunities, and that luck knocks on our door, and sometimes we don't open it. And frankly, I mean, you know how it is in real estate. We're always, on the go. We're always busy, and the people that are productive are the ones that are the busiest. And I was like, man, do I go? Do I not go? But then I started thinking, I was like, well, you know what? I won't know if it's good or bad unless I show up. So that's why I ended up going out to that breakfast, at UT when I met you guys. And I'll start with this. For me, every time I am involved with any business, or I'm considering partnering up with someone, my number one thing is making sure that that person is a good person. And it was interesting when you invited me over to the Super Bowl party, and I went over to your home. One thing that I was very impressed about, Pavan, was how the people that worked for you talked about you and how they interacted with you. That I was like, wow, this is not just a good man, but he's got a good family. And it was just like the way I was around your spouse, your kids, and just seeing that, I was like, you know what, this is going to be something great. So I don't know if that's something that most people even consider, but I'll tell you this. I've been in situations where they're like, you know what, you can make a lot of money and I just don't trust the people, or they mistreat others and so forth. And I'm like, I'm not interested. I was like, you know what, an extra X is not going to change my life, but being with a bad person or with bad vibes is just not good. So that really intrigued me to say, hey, you know what, let me find out more. And then I met Suresh. He flew out to chat with me and chat with my team and so forth. And frankly, it's doing the same thing, because think about it. Somebody calls right now and says, hey, Victor, I'm thinking about buying a house. And it's like, hey, you know what? Here's a list. You can call these people and see who gives you the better option. And frankly, we're required to give them several names. So I always give like 5 different names, and I'm like, look, have a conversation with them, see who can give you better service. And then I tell the guys, at Metro to just be on their A game, so that they can win over the business. And you know what? Sometimes, just like any other situation, if they are beat out by something, so usually, which is the rate or maybe fees or whatever, then it is what it is. Sometimes more so than not, is because people decide to go with a brand new house. And when they're buying a brand new house, typically builders will give super like huge discounts and so forth. But the ones that do go with a regular loan and decide that they want to go ahead and work with your team, then guess what? I get paid, which is pretty awesome. And it's basically doing the exact same thing I'm doing. One option I get paid, the other option I don't. And it's just a no-brainer to be part of this and really allow for us to reap the benefits of the work that we're already doing.
Yeah. So let me just quickly explain the Metro program, since you were explaining how you get paid. So how you get paid is that it's completely above board. Obviously, I wouldn't be speaking about this publicly right now live if this wasn't
or doing it at all.
doing it at all. Exactly. If it wasn't completely blessed by various government agencies. So, and the way it works is that Victor is the loan officer as well as the realtor on the transaction. So it works for most loan programs, but it does not work for the VA loan. I think it's VA or USD. I can't remember now offhand. Well, we'll ask AngelAi and she'll tell us which one it doesn't work for. But it works for almost everything except for one of the loan programs where that agency has a regulation against it. So Victor is the loan officer as well as the realtor on the file. And it's so easy for Victor to do it because all he does is basically he does the same thing that all of the other SunWest loan officers do. Is he just takes, when he meets with the borrower, he gets their couple of pieces of information, W-2, bank statements, tax returns of the self-employed, and he drops it into AngelAi, and then bam, the loan's underwritten and approval is out in 30 minutes to a couple hours, depending on the situation, and disclosures are out, and everything is just like, it's like he forgets about it. Right? Mm-hmm. And that's how every loan officer who works with AngelAi originates, so that they can go back and leave the headache of number crunching and deal structuring and all that. Leave it to the AI, right? So and realtors don't want to do that. And the most important thing that Victor gets out of it is that when AngelAi says something, AngelAi says, these are based on the income documents you gave me and based on the asset documents you gave me, this is the maximum qualifying income, and these are the loan programs that this borrower can fit into, and the maximum qualifying loan amounts. Right? I put my money behind that. Nothing can happen to change that unless, of course, the borrower changes or something. Borrower loses his job or something like that happens along the way. But assuming that the information is correct, assuming that the borrower's financial circumstances stay steady, which is the other thing that a good loan officer does, which is, and every good realtor also does, is say, hey, don't buy a new car before this loan closes.
Yeah.
Like, don't quit your job before this loan closes, right? Don't go spend a bunch of money. Don't go take on new credit, right?
Don't lend money.
Yes, exactly. Be responsible. You're in the middle of a major transaction. Be responsible. And the good news is, because it happens so fast, right? I mean, your deals have closed like in days, from the time you met with the borrower to identifying the, getting an offer accepted to then closing. It's just been, flawless, and there's very little work you got to do other than tell the buyer, hey, be prepared for AngelAi contacting you. And you also get a loan coordinator, right? That's been assigned to you. Yeah. Who's your loan coordinator?
Well, Suresh has been the one spearheading most of it. Okay. So I just follow up with him, and he just takes care of all the stuff, which is cool. Because think about this. One thing that, as you were talking, Pavan, I think the biggest challenge for most agents is that they have this mindset that they have to do everything themselves. So sometimes this might be foreign to some of the people that are starting with Metro in this program, is that you have a team that's doing a lot of the work behind the scenes. You do have to follow up. You do have to make sure that, things are moving along, but it's not like you have to do all the work. And that's one thing, like now as a real estate agent that runs a team, is pretty awesome, because there's a lot of stuff that I don't do anymore, but I still get paid for it. But when you're a one-man show or a one-woman show, then guess what? You got to do everything from the start all the way to the finish. And sometimes I think some people might overlook the fact that, you know, leveraging all that extra work allows you to do more with less time. And more importantly, you get paid. And what I would say is this, knowing that your client got a great deal, you know, because you want to make sure you want to make sure that it's not going to be to their detriment. It's not like, oh, you know what, they're paying me because they're charging more. No, that's not the case. It's more so, hey, I am getting in the way of this, facilitating, helping out, and getting compensated for it.
Yes. So, I mean, you're doing real work to earn this money. It's not like you're doing nothing. There's real work for you to do. And you have your loan coordinator who takes care of the details of contacting the borrower when something is missing.
Yeah.
Okay. But most importantly is you have the AI that does all the heavy lifting, and you don't have to worry about anything, because the best part is because it's an AI and it's a computer program that's looked at all the possibilities, and when you get the answers back, you don't have to like second guess. In fact, it's more reliable than a traditional loan officer that you may use that's going off memory.
Yeah. Yeah. Because things change all the time. And my God, you know, how many rules are out there? It's just insane to think that, you know, people are supposed to have that all in their mind. And not only that, but just update it, right? Because things change. So yeah, I've been really happy. My clients have been really happy. And that's all that matters, because if they're happy, they're going to recommend other people. And if they recommend other people, then we get to take awesome vacations.
Well, that's why you're on vacation so much this year, is all the money you've made because of AngelAi.
Yeah, well, it helps. It definitely helps, right? And it's like anything. You know, you start it off and it's like, oh, cool, you're getting used to it. And then by the time you know it, it starts snowballing. So I'm really looking forward to, you know, 2024. And one thing, I mean, let me ask you this, like, what are, you know, some of the things that you guys talk about from your point of view, from the lending aspect of things, when, you know, clients call up and they're like, worried that it's 8% or 7.5% or whatever. Is there like a standard thing that you guys typically tell them to let them see that it's really not as bad as they think it is?
Well, I think the most important thing is that look at where inflation's at. Okay, so if, let's just say the interest rate is 8% and official inflation's clocked in at what, 3.5 or something recently. We all know that's actually worse than the official numbers. To me, it feels more like 4.5. But let's go by the official numbers is 3.5, right? So an 8% interest rate, you have to adjust it for inflation. So 8% minus 3.5, right? You're really at 4.5.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
so your real interest rate is only 4.5. So that's actually as good as it's almost ever been. Yeah. So 4.5 is a great rate. Okay. Yeah. So and then notwithstanding the dip in property values in Austin, you know, we just talked about 25% dip, but right now, if you're buying and you're at that bottom, right, and if things have leveled out and hopefully they stay that way. I mean, no one can predict which way real estate is going to go, but let's just say real estate, you know, we just had a 25% correction in Austin, and it doesn't seem likely it's going to drop more than that.
I don't think so. Yeah.
So that means you can only stay flat or go up from here. Okay. So if it goes up even 1% a year. Yeah. Okay. So now that 4%, that 4.5%, right, is now 3.5%. Because you're right. Because even though you're paying 4.5% inflation adjusted interest, you minus another percent for equity that's being added to your property every year just by living in it. So you're really only paying 3.5%. Yeah. Okay. So and then rates aren't going to stay high forever, right? The recent talk is now Fed is maybe going to accelerate the rate at which they reduce rates now. Right? So there's been some talk about that. We'll see what happens. Okay. Yeah. So if rates drop, and when they drop, right, all you do is wait for them to drop and then refinance. So this is maybe a 2-year, if things go, hopefully rates go again. No one can predict which way rates are going to go. It can go. We started this business when interest rates were 18%, so that could happen again also. You never know. Back in 1980, they were 18%.
Oh yeah, I actually had a conversation with a neighbor, well, not a neighbor, another person staying here at the hotel, older gentleman. He told me his first house he bought was 17%.
Yeah, exactly.
So for all the youngsters, they're like, what, 70%? I mean, 17%? It's ridiculous. But I'll tell you this, I mean, that's another thing, buying real estate, in the long run, you're always going to win. I mean, think about it. Anybody that bought in 1980 at 17%, Pavan, in LA, do you think they did well?
That's our family. We bought, that's how we made all our money. We bought real estate throughout the 70s and 80s. Even at 17, 18% we bought. And it was hard. It was hard to cover the payments and so forth, and we worked like crazy. Those were, the first half of the 80s, from 80 to 88, were difficult time, period.
Oh yeah. So that's the thing. It's like people are trying to time the market when the prices are low, rates are low, and everything's perfect. The lines, the stars are aligned. But it's like, it's not about timing the market. It's about having time in the market as a homeowner.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So my personal opinion, again, this isn't investment advice, but my personal opinion, my experience with the real estate is buy and hold. The biggest mistakes in business I've made is when I've sold real estate, especially now in California. They just passed a new law in California, which is not only allows a homeowner to create an ADU on their property.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Okay, which automatically increases the value of your property. But now they're allowing homeowners to split the ADU like a condo, and now you can sell the ADU separately. So home prices in California are skyrocketing because you're getting more. One house is now two houses or three houses, and this is remarkable. And I think with California making these changes, I'm pretty sure the rest of the nation is going to follow. So this has been like, anyone who owned real estate in California, it's been a windfall.
Yeah. And you can't go wrong with this. So it's like, if there's people out there listening and thinking, hey, you know what, rates are too high, follow up, start your application with AngelAi and start going through it. Because I'll tell you this, in the long run, you're going to be happy with the decision you make as buying a house. Like, you mentioned the Ferrari earlier. It's like a childhood dream. Think about it. A kid being born on the border with Mexico, working at a swap meet basically, or selling stuff door to door and stuff like that. And it's like, frankly, it was like a dream that I never thought would be fulfilled. And it actually was fulfilled because of real estate. I don't think I told you the story, but it's like, I bought my first house. I ended up selling it last year. I could have bought the car with the profit from that house, but I said, no, I'm going to build some apartments, or duplexes. So I built 11 units, Pavan, and I've been renting that for over a year. With the rents from that, I got the down payment for the car, and with the passive income, I'm paying for the car. So that car is being paid by a decision I made when I was 19 years old.
You just brought back this old memory. I haven't thought about this in forever. I remember like in the 5th grade, I spent like one whole semester and I sold chocolate bars door to door.
In the summer?
No, this was during the school year.
Oh, cool. Hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? But it is worth it. And it's like, I always think it's like, hey, if what I'm doing today, is this going to be something that my future self is going to thank me for making this decision? And that's one of those things. And it's like, that's another thing why I don't really worry about what's happening in the real estate market, because I'm like, you know what, I've invested, that the investments will take care of us. So now I get to not be worried or have commission breath or trying to breathe down somebody like, you got to buy something. And I think really people gravitate towards that. And that's why we have so much business. I mean, frankly, and just operating from that, abundance mindset versus like, oh my God, the sky's falling and I need to sell something because I got to pay my car or my house. I've been living for free since I was 19, Pavan. I used to rent out rooms. And in fact, all the way till I was 34, I rented out rooms in the homes that I was living. I was single all that time. And at 34, I was like, you know what? I'm 34. I think I should live on my own. So then I moved downtown to a condo, a high-rise condo in Austin, which was cool. And the best part about it was that my rentals were paying for, my place there. So that was pretty awesome. And I'm like, I heard this from Gary Keller a long time ago. It says, hey, you know what? When you're getting commissions for buying, for people buying and selling homes, you're getting tips, but real wealth comes by owning real estate.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. I had already started investing prior to that, but I was like, wow, just the way he put it, it's like, yeah, are you working for tips or are you working for real money, right?
That's very good advice.
But the tips help.
The tips help, right? It's part of the business. You gotta just do whatever it takes to, first of all, you gotta love what you do.
Yeah.
And bottom line is, if it's supporting you and if it's supporting your family, you got to love it. How can you not love it, right?
Of course.
Right. And then number two is then maximize your productivity, maximize your ways, honest, hardworking ways to maximize your income. And that's, if you do those two things, you're going to be great and life's going to be wonderful.
Oh yeah. And life rewards you very well.
Yeah. Yes. And when are you going to buy the second Ferrari, Victor?
You
got a red one, you need a yellow one next to it.
No, I got the red one because that's like the token first Ferrari car, right? It's like, oh, that's a rookie Ferrari owner. No, you know what? I'll tell you this. There were three things that I wanted to get, and that was one of them. Other than that, I really don't care. It's like I buy the same shirt, same shoes. I don't go shopping. There's like, I think most people would associate that, I bought a Ferrari, probably has like 20 belts of all these name brands and, 5 Rolexes. I'm like, that's not my thing. It's like, it was just a childhood thing. I don't think I'll ever get a second Ferrari. But who knows? I might fall in love with driving it. So we'll see.
You see, here's the thing. I don't go shopping either. Whenever I need a new shirt, I just go to AngelAi and I say, give me another shirt. And I get a shirt delivered.
That's even smarter.
That's your whole wardrobe. See, Victor, I've just saved you. I've made you more money, and you never have to buy another shirt again.
I know, right? That's true.